I record this podcast on Gadigal country. I'd like to pay my respect to the traditional custodians.
And I'm recording on Wurundjeri country, part of the Kulin Nation. Let's go.
I know you're gonna dig this.
It's like I've been given like an extra sprinkle of something.
You got layers.
Yeah, I got layers.
I was just thinking, I'm like, we're just such beautiful storytellers.
You're making a lot of sense today, girl. No, I'm done.
Let's jump into it, honest to God. Oh, that makes me laugh so much. That's
Every
so
time
funny.
we hear that intro, it is just a crack up.
New intro, who dis?
Yeah, new intro, who dis? We've had so many great yarns on this pod, and we've had so many, conversations that just are now part of our history. You know, it's like a time capsule of our life.
I know, we can't escape it. Remember the time we were like, yeah, we were so wholesome.
Yeah.
No,
You know what would be interesting is really, I haven't got time, and I know you definitely don't have time, but to go back and see how there's been a shift in our conversation, you know, from not so PG days.
Oh, my God.
You know, I wonder what 2025 brings in terms of our evolution, our growth, and how those conversations sit compared to 2 years ago.
Right?
I feel like they'll be so different.
That would be. And
Yeah.
I think also, though, I love pretty much what you just said, the time capsule. It shows that life is not linear. It's going to go in waves and dips. And I think our episodes will definitely capture that. And it would just be so interesting to maybe we could get a timeline of all our episode headlines and just see where
topics we were exploring, sort of where we were in our lives. There'll be so many where I'm pretty sure they'll be triggering for us because we share so much. We're so vulnerable that I even have that issue when I go back through my photo reel, roll. You know, camera roll.
Actually, I think I've downloaded every single one of our episodes, so I would have that on my Spotify.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to go through that. That's going to be a bit of nostalgia for me. I think that's going to be really important to how I shape 2025 this year because...
And give me a buzz if you end up in an emotional ball because I'll probably want to do the same thing.
Oh.
Yes. Well, you mentioned the word timeline earlier, and that's something that I've been sort of thinking about. And you want to know something exciting that I'm going to just drop as a bomb in this episode?
Absolutely.
I'm starting the process for a child in November in Colombia.
No way.
Yeah. Yep.
Holy Matty
So
Daddy.
that's when the embryos are being created in November.
Oh my God.
I know.
Auntie Brooke is ready. She was born for this. And
How
Auntie Rach
exciting.
and Uncle Ricardo. We're all ready. We're
Well, the reason I bring it up is because I'm like, you know what? This time capsule, these moments in my life, one day I'm going to sit my kids down and go and listen to the podcast.
Only
I'm
this
gonna
episode,
you didn't
though.
have it as hard as me. Go and listen to what I went through.
But only be specific with the episodes, Matty, because,
true.
before Not So PG was not very PG.
Yeah. Oh,
I
this
don't
is
think
true.
it's for kids. But,
At what point do we delete them off the internet?
Oh, true. Probably, no, once it's out there, it's out there.
That's so true.
What Dad says all the time.
They're like, did you guys have an OnlyFans? I was like, no, but we had a podcast, basically the same thing. Go and listen to it. There was so much insight into our lives. Yeah, more clothes.
Oh, God. Anyways,
funny.
so talking about Matty Daddy, November doesn't feel like that far away, to be fair with you.
Well, it's not that far away, but we've come to a decision on the process, you know. It's like having my partner's sister be involved in the process. So it'll be a matter of her and donating an egg and my sperm and having a surrogate carry the baby.
Oh, it's going to look like both of you.
I know it's going to look like both of us and it's going to be both our DNA, you know. It's like such a beautiful thing for us because we both wanted a child. But his sister is also a lesbian with a partner who Denny will be donating his sperm to. So
they could be siblings.
We're going to do it all when we get over there in November and create,
God.
the embryos, and then hopefully next year, 2026, I'm going to be a dad.
That's so wholesome.
I know.
Oh my God.
It's such a big process though, and the expenses. We're currently working through a spreadsheet of all the costs.
Yes.
And how much it's going to cost.
Okay.
And so it's a massive commitment. You know, it's around the minimum. You know, $100,000. So it's a big cost for us to even take on this. You know, big process. So
Yeah.
we're working towards it. And, 2026 is the year that I'm going to be a dad, hopefully. We're gonna be
Holy
dads.
shit.
Yeah.
I'm so
If
excited.
I come in with a screaming kid in the season of 2026, you're just going to have to bear with me. I'm going to be such a helicopter parent. I'm going to be carrying this child around everywhere I go.
I feel like you will, but I think you'll settle in. I think obviously the newborn stage is probably some of the hardest parts, like the sleep deprivation, and you're trying to keep this little thing alive. But I think once you're over that like 6 month to a year hill, which I think my brother went through, it gets so much easier. And then they're just running around and you're chasing after them. And
I cannot wait.
Honestly, I'm picturing it now and it's actually getting me so emotional, like thinking that you're just like holding hands with this like little 1-year-old. Like
yesterday I was pushing a pram around Yarbin, the Aboriginal festival, and it was my friend Kelsey, you know Kels, pushing her little jarjums around at Yarbin, and all I could feel was that like that was my future. I was like, this is going to be me. I'm going to be a dad pushing these prams around, running after these kids, and it just brings me so much joy. And I haven't even met my child yet, but I get emotional thinking about the connection that I'm going to build with my children. And so I feel like I'm right at the start of that journey, but I'm looking forward to it. I keep on talking about it, but now we finally cemented a time where it's going to happen, which is great.
I think that's the first thing, right? And then you kind of do your processes and your structure of like finance and then I guess getting prepped. I think that's the best thing with, same-sex couples. It's like it's so much consideration. Not to say that heterosexual relationships don't consider that, but it seems a bit more easier and sometimes a bit more spontaneous and a bit of a surprise for them. Like I know I was a one-night stand. I mean, I was a result of a one-night stand. I'm not a one-night stand girl. Motherfuckers.
You're like, I am not a one-night stand.
No, but I was a result of it and I was a surprise.
What a beautiful result, though, honestly.
Thank you.
Like,
yes.
Stunning.
I feel like I've
result.
contributed to society, which is a great thing.
Oh, you have. Yeah, absolutely.
I pay my taxes.
You've done more than that, let's be honest.
But there's a real process and consideration between same-sex couples, and I think that's the best thing. You got so much time, well, not so much, but you've got enough time to like really get yourself prepared, I think. But they always say you never will be prepared because
that's right.
It's one of those things like you don't know what your child is going to be like, whether they're a crier or they don't sleep, like you just don't know and you've got to figure it out. But I think
those challenges are they're frightening but exciting.
Will absolutely slay that, I think.
But it was the perfect timing for me because I always said once I turn 30, which is this year, I'm going to then really focus on that dream of mine and having a child. So it's really come at the perfect time for me. But you just turned 30 and you're actually, celebrating your birthday a little bit late this year.
I am, yes.
It's an exciting time for you. You might not be thinking about kids, but you're thinking about hitting a dance floor.
30 seems a bit different to my vision that I had on my board maybe a couple of years ago. I was actually having a conversation with a friend of mine who we were just unpacking, again, timelines. I think timelines seem to be a thing where we've spoken about this before, the pressure of women and their body clocks, etc. I don't feel like I'm under pressure. And if I do feel like that pressure, soon, I'll go and get my eggs freeze, which I have considered and I've been trying to put a little bit more money aside because it is quite expensive.
How much is it? Do you mind me asking? Like, how much is that process here?
So I think it's like a few months process to get your eggs, but it can cost like $11,000 to $15,000.
Wow!
And
to
then
freeze them.
and then you have to pay
to
rent every month. Yeah.
Wow.
So roughly, I think $400 to $500 a year. I think maybe not a month.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So quite a bit, but. I don't know. I'm just not in that space of being a parent at the moment. And if I felt like I would like to by myself, I would just look at that and consider that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know.
No rush
I'm just not...
no pressure there, which is nice, not to feel that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a few years back you were sort of putting yourself under a bit of pressure. Well, society was put women under pressure all the time when it comes to their biological clock, but it is a real thing, and I think that maybe your view has changed, on...
Well, the heartbreaking thing is that I had made it really clear in my mind and my body that I never let a guy at all, like, inside me ever unless I knew that we were going to have a baby.
Okay.
Because I was like, that is just not something that I want that to that sounds so fucked.
No,
I just wanted it to be so special. And I did that with David, and we were actively trying for a baby. And then we broke up. And then a few days after we broke up and he left me, I found out I was pregnant. And that for me was just so terrifying and also so conflicting because I'd always wanted to be pregnant. I'd never had any real big scares or anything before, obviously. And I get my period consistently. I was really on that trajectory of like the only person that I'm ever going to let that happen or have close to that was that I would be actively trying and having a baby. Sorry, I'm giving way too much detail, but
No. I'm listening. I feel like when I mentioned a couple of years back, that's what I was sort of talking about. We had a conversation one night, but even before that, you were pretty certain on freezing your eggs and, you know, even wanting to be pregnant and have a child, you know, like it was like a conversation that we had, but then you said maybe your mindset had shifted a bit. Do you think it was due to that experience?
I really think it comes back to that 2021 year.
Yeah.
That I'm just so cautious of who I'm going to be having a child with.
Yep.
And I feel so much more better having it by myself. And I think my family and friends really support this because they know that even with my dog, the love and care and consideration that I give that little fur child, and I just feel like I can rely on myself and I can't rely on anyone else, and that's really bad. I know that, you know, I need to work through that, and I think that's just my hyper independence kicking in, but I trust that I could look after a baby and I could trust that I would give it the love and care and consideration it needs. But it's the other person that I worry about, and it's my trust issues, which kind of comes down to it, right? So, yeah. Anyways, full circle, like that's kind of the cycle I'm in, is that I really want to have a baby, but I just am not considering that in my future right now because right now I've got things that I need to do for me.
Yeah.
And if I do feel like I want to or I feel pressure to have it in the next like five years, I know the process to do that in order for me to make that happen. So it's kind of a good thing. I think,
and
like,
you know who's a great inspiration?
Who?
Rach Corbett for that process.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
Like,
she's such an inspiration for that.
Yeah, and she said to me the other day, I had a quick convo with her about parenting, you know, and I said to her, I've always thought that even if I don't have a partner, I do it on my own. It was always in the back of my mind, I would do it on my own, you know, through surrogacy. And she said to me, well, the one thing that I knew that I'd be good at in my life is being a mum. So it was always going to happen, you know. It's like she knew that that's what she wanted, and no matter how, she was going to make that happen.
I feel like that's the same too, yeah.
Is so, I don't know, it's such a beautiful, loving thing to see.
I think the timing of it as well is like really vital. Like I would love to do that, and I think when the time came to consider that, I've just got a few things that I want to tick off first, and I think maybe people will see them as selfish, but I think for me, like, I haven't traveled, I haven't gone and explored the world. I think I need to get that out of the way, and then I have a little bit more life experience and stuff that I can offer, I think, as well.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah. I think, like, you know, Rachael is such a great inspiration of how you can just do it, not how you just do it. Like, it's a lot of work and a lot of effort, but I would love my family, obviously, to be a part of that. And I think it would be a matter of moving home and having that, like, first 2 years at home with my child, with my family.
Super
because
important.
Exactly, like, it takes a village, and I think people really dismiss that. And yes, you can have a child on your own, and there's science that can make that happen, but the actual looking part of it, you need support and people around you. And I think for me, I would love to be close to my family and have, you know, that 2 years experience to explore and have them around my child. And I honestly, like, I don't know why, but I just keep getting a feminine energy.
Yep.
I honestly think if I even, like, found out I was pregnant, I would probably fly home and be home whilst I was pregnant. So I think it would be like the 9 months that I'm pregnant plus the 2 years, I feel like, to establish that toddler stage. And if I wanted to move wherever, I could then. But I would have to move back home.
I love that. But I've also had this conversation with Denny. I said, you know, to have the baby in Colombia, we would stay and create a very supportive environment with his family because he has a lot of siblings, mum, you know, a great mum who would be able to help us. For two men, I think it's super important that there are people who can show us the way. It's not like we have like mother instincts, you know, it's like those parental instincts and father instincts will kick in, but being able to have a supportive network. I even said to him that we could live in Colombia for up to 6 months after the baby's born, to establish that strong connection with his Colombian culture as well, like with his parents. And I feel like it'd be so important because we're so far away. We live on the other side of the world, that for those initial months to be connected to family, especially for his mum and dad, who are the grandparents who won't get to see this, you know, their grandchild a lot.
They're getting older
That's right. So we would stay, I think, for up to 6 months and have that supportive network. So we've spoken about it.
Well, I think it's like, maybe Colombians feel the same way, like maybe as First Nations people. When the early stages of a newborn, that baby kind of gets passed around community and gets held by all the aunties and uncles and cousins, so that they have that bond and connection. And I think like, I don't know if I've just read this or it's like I just remember that moment. Yeah, I know me growing up, like when my baby brother was born, he was getting like breastfed by my auntie. Who was pregnant at this, like who was breastfeeding at the same time. I was like, okay, we're a close family. That's so random. Anyways, that's just an overshare. Sorry,
no,
I was like,
that's
fucking
cute.
hell.
I mean, that's the basis of our culture, right?
Oh,
kinship,
God.
care,
actually,
love.
Now that I've been in Melbourne for like 4 years, I've had to make a little community here in Melbourne. And I would say, honestly, Matty, like you're family to me. Like if I was in, if I was going to jail or I did something illegal or I needed help or something, you'd be one of my top few people, right?
Call me. I will be there. Trust me.
So I was just establishing, because last year was really tough on friendships for me. I lost, and there's a full stop at the end. There's no open door. I feel like it was a really hard year to come to terms with some of my friendships. Maybe my eyes were closed and I couldn't see what was happening, and the friendships that I had were just more based off superficialism, if that's a word. I've just made it up.
It is now.
And these people used to say the same thing to me, like, oh, are they really your friends or they just like want something from you? And I was like, always pretty certain that my friends that I had were like my family and my community here. And then I went, obviously did acting school, and I didn't have a lot of time, and I made some really awesome new friends who I was making time for school and everything, and caused a really bit of a dispute, I guess, between my old friends not spending that time. So I expressed that I was struggling with the fact that I'm the one that always organizes and wants to do things, and that stopped off because I got busy and they didn't step up. And instead of being met with compassion or care, I was met on the defense. Like I was made to feel like I was really shit and that I'm a shit friend and that I am passive aggressive or like that kind of energy. So I sat with that and I reflected and I actually journaled and I wrote down, like, you know, I went to therapy and I spoke to my therapist about it, and he said, why don't you write down what you do for the friendship, like what you feel. Obviously, it's only going to come from me, so there's only like one side. But he said what you feel like you do for the friendship and what you feel like they do for the friendship. And the list that I did, like, and I'm not saying like, oh, I'm on my high horse. I'm just reflecting on all the things that I feel like I do for the relationship, and I really tried to put myself in their shoes and like try to think, okay, what do they do for me? And that I would consider really thoughtful and really lovely and blah, blah, blah. And And the list was it was such a disparity. Like, it was so crazy thinking about, holy fuck, no wonder I'm feeling the weight of this. And because now I haven't spent time with them, I feel like I've lost them. And so I'm trying to get that back. And I just felt the word that came up in my therapy session was abandoned. And it just really fucked with me for months. And I hadn't really thought that it would affect me. Like, I was like, okay, that's fine. Okay, they don't want to be my friend. And I just thought, holy fuck, if I'm that disposable to you, you were never my friend. Because I would fucking go to jail for you. Whatever it was, like, that's how I felt so fondly about these people, that when I wasn't met with that same love or compassion that I would think that it would happen, I was like, okay, this is a reality check. Like, this is like, these people are not your friends.
It's also about closure. Like, like, you need to either be willing, both sides of this, you know, both parties, to come together, work it out and move forward, or come together, decide not to move forward and let everything go. It's like there needs to be some sort of closure. Otherwise you're sitting there in limbo going, oh, I wonder what we are. Like, I wonder if they still like me. I wonder if why they think this or why they think that.
This is what happened, is that we were back and forth, and I've kind of kept this group together because that's how I've grouped them in my mind and, like, in my life, is that they're my little community. Like, they're all together. I want to see them all together. I want to hang out with them individually.
But were you the glue?
I felt like I was, and then the glue came unstuck when I got busy and I wasn't putting in the time and effort into the friendship. But I actually was, because I was constantly messaging, trying to hang out. And so there was this one last message where, you know, everything was a little bit cracked at this point, and I just sent out a group message and I said, look, I'm really disappointed at the effort that we've all made for each other, but I was hoping that maybe we could get to, like, have dinner together. Yeah. And I just put it in a group message on WhatsApp. One of them was like, yep, let's organise a time. The second one was like, yep, I'm keen. Like, let's figure out when we're not busy, blah, blah, blah. And then the third one comes in red hot. I couldn't even tell you what this message is because it was actually so fucked. And I just felt like I was on the attack. Like, I was getting attacked. And I was the one that first sent this message. So I was trying to maybe put an olive branch out for all of us to be, you know, literally like waving a little fucking white flag.
Open the dialogue to be like, hey, what's going on? 100%. We should probably chat about this. Let's try and resolve it. Not like, hey, guys, you are all shit. I think that we should talk. It's like you were actually being open to hearing what they had to say as well.
Anyway, so moving on, some things were definitely said in this conversation which made me realise a lot of things. One, just because you're friends for a long time doesn't make them good friends.
Yep. I definitely feel like I'm in a moment in my life where it's like I'm creating lists of people who I interact with and putting them in categories. And one of those categories is the safe list. Like, is this person...
Oh my God, please tell me about this.
Person to be around?
I'm making my safe list now, just FYI.
So for me, I only, you know, came up with this the other day, but it was like, moving forward, there are certain areas of my life that I'm really trying to focus on and be proud of the work that I'm doing in these areas. And some people just don't respect that when it comes to relationships. They don't understand why that's important to me, and they try and influence me in a way, not consciously trying to pull me towards, you know, the things that I'm sort of trying to move away from, but there are parts of my life that I need to be really careful with. And these are like personal things that I've dealt with over the years, and I feel like there are certain people in my life that I feel really safe around and that won't sort of lead me down the wrong path or influence me in that way. And I know it comes back to my own self and my own responsibility for my own actions. Yeah. But when it comes to environment or friendships, you have to be really careful about where you're putting yourself, because I'm easily led, unfortunately. And so
I don't think you're easily led. I think it's like, with the people that you do have and that you say do trust, they're crossing a boundary, and maybe you're just not aware that it's more of a selfish thing for them, because I think...
And also we don't have the same goals. They don't have the same goals as me. So it's like, for me, I have a very small list of people who I feel really the word safe around. And
So
then
who's
I
on
have,
your safe list?
You're on my safe list. My friend Kelsey's on my safe list. My friend Janae is on my safe list. Emily's on my safe
They're
list.
all
Look at this.
women.
All women.
Slay.
And then I have...
Is that
yeah.
very telling?
It is absolutely.
Love
And then I have people who are like in the middle of the safe and not safe list, who are people who
They're like amber. So there's like green, amber, and then maybe...
And if I'm feeling strong
blue.
in myself and how I'm tracking, I might interact with them, because they're not unsafe. They're in the middle. But the unsafe people, there's a whole list of unsafe people who I've interacted with over the years who I'm just like, and who became quite close friends in terms of the industry, but also the party scene. And I'm just like, ain't nobody got time for you anymore. And it's not because I don't love you. It's not because I don't appreciate you. It's just that our interaction is surrounded around certain things that I just don't want to be a part of anymore. So I'm just letting them people go and not reaching out to them. And when they reach out to me, just not...
That just reminded me.
Yeah,
when you said let them go, there's this lady who's American. She wrote a book and it's like, let them. So it's like this let them theory. But she just says, like, you don't need to have any type of input into whatever they're doing. Like, just let them do their thing. If they hurt you, let them. Whatever.
Well,
Mel Robbins, that's it.
Similar idea, but my therapist said to me, stop manipulating the world.
Yes.
So stop controlling people, stop getting them to do certain things that you maybe want them to do, or stop trying to inspire them in a way to do something. It's like, let them do what they're going to do and allow them to show you their true colours.
100,000%.
So that you can then make a really thorough decision based on the reality, not your perception or what you've manipulated them. And manipulated is a strong word, but it means like what you've maybe...
Well, you're trying to persuade. Persuasion maybe is the right word. But the thing is, my therapist also says manipulative or manipulation isn't always a negative thing. Like, we manipulate situations in our daily life all the time, like, but it's not always a negative thing.
Yeah.
But in that scenario, I get exactly, because I've had this same conversation with my therapist, is that it's a control thing. It's trying to control your environment, and that comes down to a safety thing. It's a survival/safety thing, because you're trying to read the room or trying to, I guess, like, get ahead, whatever it is your intentions are. Usually, like, I can tell your intentions are always for good. Like, you want to do good for yourself. You're never manipulative in a negative way. I mean, we've all done some shitty things in our life.
Yeah.
Also, when we're talking about safe lists, I made the Aboriginal flag.
Ooh.
I was like, the yellow is like my safe list.
Yes.
The black is like, these are my mob, because like I'm proud Black First Nations woman. Like,
Ooh,
and then the red is like, get the fuck out the door.
Get the fuck out. I love that. Okay. Well, you know what? Wrapping up this episode, that is the sentiment that we're going with. We're going to say, let them get the fuck out. Open the door. Whoever wants to leave can leave.
That's very fitting.
Let's wrap it up right there.
Yeah, this has been a great episode. I'm excited for Matty Daddy. I can't wait to get you a shirt that says, I'm a cool dad.
No, can I just say Zaddy? Zaddy?
Zaddy. No.
Isn't that what they call the hot dads?
Oh, Zaddy.
Zaddy. Yeah.
Well, I
want to be called Zaddy.
I think I'm not a
regular dad. I'm a cool dad.
Yeah, I just can't wait to get you that shirt because I think it would be so cute. I also think I have one of these when I was a baby and it was like, oh, you think I'm cute? You should see my dad.
It went from Matty Fatty to Matty Daddy.
Anyways, that wraps up this episode. If you love us, leave us a little rating and review, guys. We love to hear. And if you have anything that you want to speak about or a topic that you think we should talk about, let us know on our socials.
And Brooke's handle is at brooke.blurton. Mine is at It's Matty Mills. And you can catch the Nova Podcast action over at Nova Podcast Official.
Also, something really exciting happening this Saturday. Matty, what is it?
Ooh, we are going to the AACTA Festival on the Gold Coast to do our second live show.
Woo!
I can't wait. It's all about black joy. So if you are on the GC, make sure you come and check us out. We're going to put some show notes in this episode for tickets. It's free, so come along.
Come along. I also heard that Russell Crowe is hosting the actors. So if you want to come see Crowe, why not? Get Toey for Crowe. We love that.
Oh, my life. Okay, well,
Goodbye.
that laughter sounds like black joy.
That is black joy. We love it. Bye.
Bye.